Imagine never once stepping into a gym and never needing to. No treadmill, no gym membership, no app counting your steps. You wake up, walk for miles, searching for food, dig roots, climb for fruit, carry firewood back to camp. No one ever told you it was exercise. And yet, when researchers study people who still live this way today, their bodies stay lean, strong, and healthy well into old age. Meanwhile, we schedule workouts, buy equipment, track every rep, and still struggle. So how did people who never exercised on purpose end up fitter than most of us today? Most people assume ancient humans were fit simply because food was scarce. No supermarkets, no fast food, just hunger and hard labor. It seems obvious. Constant physical struggle, plus not enough calories equals a naturally lean body. No gym required. We grew up hearing this from documentaries, from diet books, from every caveman lifestyle trend that's ever gone viral. Scarcity gets presented as the whole explanation, as if being forced to move constantly while barely eating enough was the entire secret. So a species without protein shakes, without rest days, without any concept of leg day, should have been fit purely by accident, purely by desperation. No recovery science, no sports medicine. Overexertion could genuinely break your body down with nothing to fix it. Every instinct points the same direction. Starvation and struggle, not strength, not design. That's the assumption. Here's what actually happened. The truth is scarcity was never the main driver. Movement pattern was. Duke University anthropologist Herman Pontzer spent years measuring the actual daily energy expenditure of the Hadza, a hunter-gatherer community in Tanzania, using a technique called doubly labeled water that tracks calories burned with remarkable precision. Here is how it works. Pontzer's team had Hadza adults drink water containing traceable isotopes, then measured how quickly those isotopes left the body through urine samples over several days. The rate of isotope loss reveals almost exactly how many calories a person burned, regardless of what they reported doing. His findings stunned the research world. Despite walking roughly 9 miles a day, foraging, digging, and climbing, Hadza adults burned nearly the same total daily calories as sedentary adults in the United States and Europe. The body wasn't burning more overall, it was burning smarter. David Reichlen's research at the University of Southern California uncovered the second half of the mechanism. He found that constant, low-intensity movement throughout the day, rather than short, intense bursts, triggers different metabolic and cardiovascular adaptations. The body redirects energy efficiently, builds durable joint and muscle tissue gradually, and avoids the stop-start stress that comes from being sedentary all week and then suddenly active on a weekend. Their bodies weren't burning extra fuel to stay fit. They were spending the same fuel completely differently, spread across an entire day instead of concentrated into one scheduled hour. The unexpected part is what this means for your own body right now. Fitness was never really about total effort. It was about a movement pattern spread evenly across daylight hours, one that modern scheduling quietly erased. The clearest confirmation comes from what happened when researchers compared groups doing the exact same total exercise. In a study following adults enrolled in structured gym programs, researchers tracked total weekly calories burned during scheduled workouts. Even in participants who exercised consistently for months, markers of metabolic health improved far less than expected, and many participants unconsciously reduced their movement during the rest of the day to compensate for the workout, a pattern researchers call activity compensation. The cause wasn't effort, it was distribution. A person who sits for 10 hours and then runs hard for 45 minutes puts their body through a completely different stress pattern than someone who walks, squats, carries, and climbs in small doses throughout an entire 16-hour day. A separate case shows the same pattern from the opposite direction. Researchers studying Old Order Amish communities in Ontario, who still farm largely without machinery, recorded average daily step counts exceeding 18,000 steps for men, spread naturally across chores, farm work, and walking between tasks. Obesity rates in these communities remained dramatically lower than in the surrounding population, despite diets that were far from restrictive. Both cases point to one conclusion from opposite angles. Concentrated exercise, no matter how intense, couldn't fully replace movement spread across a whole day. Movement spread across a whole day, even without any formal exercise at all, consistently produced better metabolic outcomes. This was never a story about ancient people having superior genetics or superior willpower. It's a story about what happens to any body, in any era, once movement gets scheduled into a single hour, instead of woven through every hour. The real turning point arrived after World War II, as suburban expansion and mass car ownership swept across the United States through the 1950s. For the first time in human history, it became possible to travel, work, shop, and socialize almost entirely while sitting down. This is where the story stops being ancient and becomes yours. Think about your own typical day. Car to office. Elevator instead of stairs. Chair for 8 hours. Car back home. Couch for the evening. Your one scheduled hour at the gym isn't a modern upgrade layered on top of a naturally active life. It's damage control for roughly 23 hours of near-total stillness your ancestors never experienced. The soreness, the plateaus, the frustration of exercising consistently without seeing the results you expect. None of that means you're failing. It means your body is still built for a rhythm of constant, low-level movement that modern architecture and modern jobs have almost completely engineered out of daily life. None of this means abandoning the gym or the idea of scheduled workouts. It means recognizing that the workout was never the real solution on its own. It's a patch stapled onto a mismatch between a body built for constant motion and a day now built for constant stillness. Every time you take the stairs instead of the elevator tonight, you're not doing something extra. You're restoring a small piece of a rhythm your ancestors never had to think twice about. For most of human history, fitness needed nothing from you. No gym, no schedule, no worry. The body simply worked, because the day itself demanded constant motion. Then the motion stopped, quietly, over generations, one convenience at a time. The body didn't get weaker. The day around it got stiller. Strong, lean bodies were never rare, because ancient people trained harder or wanted it more. They were common because nothing had yet taught a body to sit still for most of its waking hours. Somewhere between the first automobile and the first office chair, we traded a problem we never had to think about for one we now schedule an hour for, most days, if we're lucky. They weren't fit because they exercised. They were fit because they never stopped moving.